The prohibition on non-Jewish wine is something which you find already in the book of Daniel.
Mm.
Okay, so Daniel and his companions will only drink water. They won't drink the wine that's being offered to them.
Mm.
No explanation is given there why
Mm-hmm.
there should be anything wrong with wine. You don't find anything earlier, in earlier biblical sources, and nothing, no prohibition
Mm-hmm.
on Jewish wine. And the truth is that it's a long-standing tradition, really, in Judaism. You see it already in the book of Daniel, and it goes through the Second Temple period. It becomes very prominent in the Mishnah. So it's a very long-standing tradition.
Mm-hmm.
But the rationale behind it is never really well explained. And I was really surprised, when I was writing this article, I said, okay, when you write an article about the prohibition on Jewish wine, the first thing you need to do is to quote the relevant passage that tells you that non-Jewish wine is forbidden and for what reason. I couldn't find it. I just couldn't find. I had a lot of trouble finding it.
Yeah.
And I sort of meander at the beginning of this article. I sort of meander through different sources to try and show how implicitly, the explanation that is given is that non-Jews use their wine for libations. They offer their wine as a sort of small sacrifice offering to the gods, and that is what makes the wine forbidden. But it's never very clearly stated. You have to all the time read between the lines, and that was the first thing which really attracted my attention. Why is a prohibition on wine taken for granted rather than properly explained?
Can I just complicate it even further?
Yeah.
Which is that there's one thing against Gentile wine, and then separately against Yain Nesach. Is that a fair bifurcation? Or you think they're all really all part and parcel of the same package?
I don't actually see that distinction until you get to the later Talmudic layers.
Okay.
So when you get to the later Talmudic layers, you begin to see a very clear distinction between wine, which is known to have been used for a libation, and wine which you don't know. I mean, it comes from non-Jews, but you don't know what it was used for. And halachically, it makes a difference. Wine which is known to have been used for sacrifice is severely forbidden. Stam yayin, wine which we don't know, is forbidden, but the prohibition is more lenient, is less severe. But that's something which comes in a little bit later. Another later development, but that's a much later development, is to explain the prohibition on wine in terms of the danger that it could lead to intermarriage.
I mean, it's in the Gemara.
The interesting sort of idea that if you drink non-Jewish wine, you will drink wine with the non-Jews. And if you drink wine with the non-Jews, you're going to get mixed in with their good daughters or whatever, and get married to them. It's a really it doesn't sort of make a lot of sense to contemporary mind, but
right. It's also not far-fetched either.
Well, no, maybe not. But anyway,
it's just not, like you're saying, it's not such a direct connection.
It's not such a direct. So you see a bit of it in the Babylonian Talmud. Maybe also in Yerushalmi, I can't remember now. Bavli, certainly you see it.
Yeah, I think the Chaim
Soloveitchik showed that it only really is taken as a serious explanation from the later 12th century onwards. But up to that point, nobody is really looking at non-Jewish wine as anything to do with intermarriage. It's all to do with this ancient prohibition related to idolatry.